this next session we're going to do is Stop Playing It Safe with Out of Home. And I have to my right Casey Baker from Canvas Worldwide, the director of Out of Home at Canvas Worldwide. So Casey, first and foremost, why don't you just say hello and tell a little bit about yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Casey Baker from Canvas. This year is my 20th year in the industry. Omni-channel. I've been in and out of home for all of my career, but also working on TV, radio, print, online. So I've kind of got a good run the gamut of all the medias, out of home being my favorite. That's why I'm here today. So,
Good.
Yeah, cool.
And what we're going to do for this session, the fireside chats are more fun if people do start to engage and ask questions. So if you have a question that you have during this one or the next one, just chime in. I think that we saw that works out pretty well, and it makes it feel like a little bit more organic. And the more the MediaPost event goes on, it gets a little more casual and a little more or less formal. So, and also later on, I'm going to talk about your baseball socks. I like your sock game.
I almost put my Billboard socks on. I actually have
You have Billboard socks?
Yeah, somebody gave me a pair, and
I think we need to see those later.
I'll wear them later. Well,
Are they-
I think they were Pacific Outdoor, but I'll just give them a quick plug.
I think from now on, I think branded socks for Out of Home is definitely the way to go.
So now I got baseball socks. We could talk about it later.
All right, cool. All right, so Casey, you get to work on a lot of entertainment brands. When we were first chatting about doing this conversation, you were mentioning some of the brands, and we're not going to go into the brands, et cetera, but I want to just talk about what's the approach for entertainment in general when it comes to doing Out of Home? Because that seems to be a great place to make big, spectacular statements about shows and movies that are coming out. So what's your first approach, and how much do you have to sell the medium to the client versus them already being like, yeah, I want to be out there? Yeah,
I mean, Out of Home is definitely a huge part of entertainment. But when I look at, some of the entire budgets, we're still getting a pretty small chunk.
Yeah.
I call it a chunk. It's big, but it's still small when you look at the whole budget. But kind of how we have to sell it through. What we do is a creative concept deck. Mm-hmm. I'll put that together first. Kind of the chicken before the egg is like, don't come to, or if the creative comes to me with a creative idea, that's great. But I like to come to them with a built-out plan of these are some crazy cool ideas. Let's build the creative around that instead of, here's the creative, let's go throw it up, and it's not gonna fit, but we have to do it.
Yeah.
So, and it will work, but I like it the way doing a creative concept deck, showing them what we can and can't do.
Yeah, and somebody brought up yesterday too that when you give the creatives a direction to say, just go have some fun, almost inevitably what they come back with is their out-of-home concepts are usually the coolest of the concepts that get presented, right?
100%, yeah. And I've done some really fun work in the last year working directly with the creative team and, putting my expertise with their expertise. Creatives love Out of Home. They really do. They just don't ever have enough time to go and do it, and that's kind of why we're here is they play it safe because they're like, well, I've only got 2 weeks. Let's grab this creative, throw it up here. Yeah. Instead of, oh, I have 90 days or so, even a month is even better. So.
Yeah, because you can turn things around a lot faster these days with the tools we have.
Right.
And then the topic itself, right? Stop playing it safe. So the best way to ask any questions about that is to talk about what is the opposite. So what is a fail? What does a fail look like for Out of Home?
It's kind of a two-part, right? So there's a fail for the client, and then there's a fail for the industry. So what does it look like on the client side? More so, running just maybe one creative everywhere, not making it fit into the environment that it's in. That fail may be like, hey, let's test it. Let's use a $100,000 test. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't get built to succeed, right? So we did a $100,000 test. Now we're just going to pull it. It's gone. It didn't work. Now that's to my second part. That hurts the out-of-home industry, right? So if you're not giving us a chance to show what out-of-home can do, that $100,000's gone, and it doesn't build to the $1, $2, $3 million for the rest of the year. Mm. And it's probably reallocated to digital, TV, radio. So.
Yeah. And how much of the planning process, when you're talking about that, when you've got the creative people pulling it together and you want to make sure that everything's not going to fail, how much of that is you and your team planning versus going to the partners, the people who own the boards and who own the space, and asking them to help you with the idea generation, because they're the ones that really truly understand their medium and where they have it. How much of that is you versus weighing on them?
It's 50-50.
Yeah.
We actually, I do lean on to my vendor partners a lot because they've seen a lot of stuff, so they can kind of offer their input. I'm never against even coupling the three teams, my team, creative team, and the vendor all on one call.
Yeah.
Say, how do we do this, and how do we do it correctly?
Yeah.
Because inevitably it's going to be my fault if it doesn't run correctly.
Of course it is, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys have this philosophical approach, right? It's the challenge the comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. That's the Canvas tagline.
Mm-hmm.
When you present the ideas, have you ever had to present some idea that just scared the hell out of the client, and they're like, no, that's way too far out there. I can't do that. Have you ever really gotten in that kind of position with a client?
Yes. Every time.
Every time.
I'm okay. So we're Monday. The flight starts, so I can't really talk too much about it. But this is kind of the scarier because it's more on the guerrilla end. So challenging the comfortable. We don't typically book guerrilla media. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of the legal and indemnifications. So we are stepping out of our comfort zone. The client's stepping out of their comfort zone, and we're doing a guerrilla campaign that they want it to be perfect, but it also doesn't need to run perfect because some of that negative publicity is good publicity.
Interesting.
And I think we're going for that a little bit. So next week I can talk about it, and hopefully people see it.
Without saying the brand, can you just tell us what city to look at?
LA and New York.
Okay.
But there is going to be a multi-market, like another 18 markets with other out-of-home that fits, and Nashville being one of them.
Okay.
But LA and New York is going to be covered with this.
And so in that situation, once again, we're not going to talk about who it is, but
Yeah.
in that situation, the client, they were a little bit apprehensive at first, and you were able to push it through.
Right.
Can you talk at all, like, did you push it through based on the ability to measure what it's going to do, or was it purely the concept and the idea that eventually you just got them over the hump and they said, okay, we can try this?
Yeah, I think a little bit has to do with measurement, but a lot of it has to do with it matches perfectly with what this film is about.
Okay.
But sometimes we don't want to go too close to I don't know how to, you don't want to match so close to the film that we're almost like pretending to make out of home work. We just want it to work, but
Yeah.
you're pushing it too hard, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And then, there's been, I could sit up here for hours and talk about how scared we have been or made our clients scared. Yeah.
It's funny because I'm a nerd, so I don't know what one you're working on. But if anybody blows up New Jersey on Monday morning, I'll know what movie it was related to. That's a really deep nerd story. We can talk about that over dinner.
It's close. No.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry if you all live in New Jersey. What about the idea of the creative itself? Like, we talked about how the creative team loves to dive in on the out-of-home creative. Does the concept ever start with the out-of-home creative when you're going to go pitch it to the client? Or does it always come back to something that they can see more broadly? Because I feel like the out-of-home creative is a very, very specific environment. I for example, I love the brand Chick-fil-A, but their out-of-home is great. And I don't know if anybody's here, but their out-of-home is great. It seems to be like the anchor of their media. So is the out-of-home ever the anchor for the campaigns that you're working on?
An anchor? No. Well, no.
No? Why is that? Why can't it be?
I think we're probably it can be and it should be, but I think a lot of the times it's out of home's last to the table.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, at Canvas, we get a seat at the table 99% of the time, so we're part of that conversation. But I think the creative and the thoughts are all starting with digital, social.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, now we got to go and build out of home.
Yeah.
And our lead times are the longest.
Yeah.
So we should be part of that conversation to begin with.
Yeah.
I always go to entertainment because that's what I mostly work on. But if I'm working on like my CPG clients or anything like that, we're not even scoped, you know? And then, so when we are scoped, we are like the last afterthought. And it's like, oh, we have 2 weeks, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And we kind of know it's, you know, it's not gonna end well for anybody when we do it that way. So.
Yeah, and that forces the fact that you almost have to play it safe in some situations without a home. You know, what do you think that the industry, because you have a bunch of industry people here, what do you think the industry can do to raise its own awareness that it plays a more important role in a media campaign? And I'm not saying for the industry to go out there and evangelize and say, we want more than our 2.5%. I'm just saying, from a strategic perspective, the activation element of it, what can the industry itself do to go out there and say, like, we demand to be at a much more important strategic seat at that table more regularly, because what we do really does cross channels. It really does have impact. And it's the stuff that, look, if you go to Cannes, outdoor wins awards, and TV wins awards too, but outdoor wins awards, and yet it's not the focal point of a strategy.
I said it yesterday, I think at the roundtable, that we don't want to come out and say we're better and bigger than everybody else, but out of home is a huge complement to all other media.
Yeah.
So as like we keep talking about measurement, and hopefully we get to that point at some point in the game here, but not that like, hey, out of home is measuring and doing better than every other media. It's out of home helped increase the social, helped increase. So like when it was all running together, we were X% intent, right? When it wasn't running, we were here. So the complement is where I would like to get it to. And I also said too, that a lot of other medias should be coming to these media, like coming to the out of home, like coming to this, you know, and hearing us all speak. So kind of like having us all work together as one unit.
Yeah, a little bit of cross-pollination between the channels might be a very interesting thing to pursue. That could be an interesting thing in the future too, is to talk about the interplay of out of home with social as an actual event topic.
Right.
Might be really kind of interesting thing to do. Okay. That's an idea. I'm going to keep going. Does anybody have anything that they want to ask or hear? Okay, we're going to keep going then. What about the dynamic creative? What about the dynamic triggers can be put into a campaign? Because once again, talking about playing it safe. Playing it safe means putting it up there and letting it ride, versus being able to and be willing to optimize and change something when it's in market, when it's in the field. So how do you approach that? How do you approach the optimization of these campaigns to make sure that it really continues to perform?
I sell it through. I mean, I guess an approach or a sell through. Out of home is a one-to-many.
Yeah.
All the other medias are kind of one-to-one. My approach is kind of like, let's make out of home one-to-some then, right?
Yeah.
So let's narrow it down, and that's how dynamic creative does it. Like, if we're running in gym, let's talk to somebody that's running on a treadmill.
Yeah.
You know, have that creative specifically talking to that person, or at the grocery store, or in the movie theater lobby, anything like that. I love dynamic. I mean, like it really shows that the brand cares.
Yeah.
You know, I said it again. I said it to somebody yesterday. When I'm on social media and we've been talking about a brand, right? All of a sudden you're like in your feed and you're like, how does my phone already have this ad in front of me? If out of home can do that dynamically, which we have the capabilities of doing, it's serving an ad to somebody that's in that environment at that time with a positive thought. That's the way it should be done, right? You have large 14 by 48 billboards, but then you also have place-based that we heard with Bingo earlier. It's like we can touch these people at all aspects of the day.
Yeah.
So
There's so many things going back, but dating myself. If you remember the movie Minority Report,
yes,
right, and that how they had consulted the advertising industry and a bunch of executives in the scenes where they showed you the outdoor ads that were being personalized based on retinal scanning and all those kinds of things, and holographic images and hologram images being shown to the users as they were being passed by the outdoor boards. A lot of people had thought that was going to be the future of the industry. It hasn't quite gotten there, but you're saying that some of that technology is available, but we do play it safe by not using it.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the privacy issues.
Yeah.
I mean, we have we all have our phones in front of us, and our privacy is nowhere. But with out of home, we do kind of play it safe when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, I wouldn't mind if I was walking by a shelter that said, "Hi, Kate," Casey or whatever,
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, Zuckerberg clearly is listening, so why can't he just?
I'm sure he is. I know.
What are some of the harder conversations you've had with clients when you're trying to pitch an idea, and you know that they're being, once again, apprehensive about it? Like, what are some of the more interesting examples you can talk to?
Stepping out of the comfort zone, I would probably say. Building more than just one or two different creatives.
Yeah.
I guess that comes back to the more personalization. They don't always have the time, so it is a little bit tough. From there, I guess that discussion goes to, we can help you build that.
Yeah.
So I think there's the client and there's the creative, but going to the creative team and saying, let your reins down a little bit, let us help you build it.
Yeah.
And we can show you what the capabilities are.
Yeah.
And then the risk, I mean, there's always those risks, but I don't think I want to necessarily say I'm going to go and sell you risk. I'm going to sell you intent. So let's have our intention. What do we want to get out of this? And let's go and do it.
I think I understand the intent part, but what do you mean by the risk? Like, what kind of risk is there associated with putting more bold creative out there right now?
Oh, I'm just, I mean, depending on what it says or what it does, I mean, at different times, somebody could take offense to it, right? I mean, going back to another campaign and I'm not going to name names, but she lives in the White House, and she's not the president.
Wait a minute, hold on.
We knew that there was risk, and what we sold it through out of home really wasn't part of the plan, but we thought that it should be. And we came together knowing that, look, we are going to get backlash.
Yeah.
And we did. But back to my point a few minutes ago, negative is sometimes a positive.
Yeah.
And the documentary ended up doing better than any documentary has.
It
and
did surprisingly well, actually.
It did really well, so yeah.
Okay, all right.
I went off a little tangent on that one. I hope that can answer.
No, I mean, honestly, I kind of want to go off on a bigger tangent there right now, but I don't think it's a really good idea, so we won't do that.
Wait, let's stay away from that.
What are some of the things that you've worked on that you were the most proud of? Like the things that you really feel like you didn't play it safe, that you actually sold through a concept and the client was like, yeah, I'm down, I'll do that.
Project Hail Mary.
Yeah. Talk about that for a second.
Obviously, I think most people in here probably either saw the movie or know about the movie or read the book with Andy Weir. But it was an out-of-home campaign that we kind of knew that was going to succeed because it was going to be a great movie. We already knew that, right?
But it wasn't a movie, I know a lot of people did read the book, but if you didn't read the book, you never heard of the book.
You had never heard of the book? Or yeah, if you hadn't read it, you probably wouldn't have known what the movie is about. Right. And some people are like, sci-fi, I don't want to see that. But we stepped out of our comfort zone, multi-market campaign. We came to them saying, hey, look, let's have an astronaut hanging between two billboards on Sunset Boulevard. So we had to shut down Sunset. We had to get 3 different permits. We had a 50-pound, 7-foot astronaut hanging between both billboards with backlit. I mean, and it was an amazing campaign, but it was a lot of work, like 3-4 months worth of work and sleepless nights to get it through, and then finding out we're getting a permit on Saturday when we're going live on Sunday. So I was proud of it. I was proud to work with, with the entire team on that, to come together. And then it's like seeing it being shared on social media and having friends text me. I know that doesn't really matter, but at the same time, people are seeing it and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing,
That's real-time feedback that people resonated with the creative.
Yeah, and like people, I mean, there was things like, I have tears in my eyes seeing this, and it's like, that's something that makes you proud when you see that, so. And then, I mean, obviously the film did $350 million global or domestically, and is kind of
more than they thought it was.
More than they thought. 80 million the first weekend, and it's like it just kind of kept holding every week, and we're like, wow, it's really doing its job. So, yeah.
And is that was that concept one of those concepts that the creatives helped to pull together early on, or did that who was the tail wagging the dog in that environment? Was that creative done up front, or did that come in later?
That creative came in later.
Yeah.
The astronaut, like Ryland Grace was always going to be the middle ground of the creative, but having going the extension wise and how we did that kind of became the center point of all of the creative.
Yeah.
Not so much as like Rocky as which we thought it would be. So yeah.
And you probably had a client who, when you pitched that concept, he or she just got excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody got excited, and once you get producers and everybody excited, then it's go time. You got to perform. So. And
did you have to worry about the measurement of that specific campaign, or is it just because of the overall effect?
No, not so much. That one we didn't. It was obviously tracking social chatter. Yeah. But that was more so just like a big bang. Okay. So yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, we're getting towards the end. So once again, if you have questions, please feel free to chime in. I'm going to ask a very specific question. So, you're talking about this idea once again of like challenge the comfortable, and we're talking about how not to keep it safe. And there are media people here, and there are media people watching, and there's going to be things that'll be written after we're done here. But what are 3 little pieces of advice that you would give to somebody who is planning out of home that would help them to understand like how to push a little bit further than what they thought they were going to be able to sell through to the client? Like, what would you recommend that they could think about or do to get that client over the hump to think about things and not play it safe and be a little bit more bold?
Trust your gut. So kind of go in knowing that out of home could be a complement to everything else. Mm-hmm. That the money that you're going to spend will pay it'll pay itself back. Yep. If you go too safe, it's not going to do that. But having good creative and having different iterations, I think spending a little more up front, and I think you have to go in that way and say, look, this is not going to be cheap, but we can figure out a way for your ROI to come back.
Yeah. There is no cheap in out of home if you want to do it right.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I think third is use the programmatic pipes, and show that maybe programmatic is not the end all be all, but it's a very good complement to a larger plan. And show them kind of how we can become that one to some instead of the one to many with so much waste.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that idea. We talked about obviously earlier. There was a little bit of a little controversy earlier about programmatic digital out of home.
I'm so glad Vanessa said that, by the way, because I was actually going to talk about that. So now I don't have to.
But I do like the concept of saying it's a compliment, right? It is a compliment to be able to use it to amplify your core idea, your core concept.
Yeah, and I'm not against the programmatic team booking out of home that way. I just don't want out of home, and I guess this is maybe this is number 3 to what your question is out of home can't just be an impression on a programmatic buy. Mm-hmm. It's...
Go ahead and clap for that.
Yeah, go ahead, we can book it, we can work together on it, right? Yeah. Because that screen may not be where we want to be. Yeah. But, it just got us 100 impressions. Okay, fine, Yeah. So I think we just have to work together, and we'll help plan it, you buy it, but there's different ways to do it.
Yeah, volume metrics do not mean engagement. Right. They do not mean impact.
Yeah, and just turning on a switch is not going to help. So anyway, yeah.
All right, well, Casey.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. Give a nice round of applause to Casey. All right. Here's the fun thing.
Are we good or no questions? That's fine. No question. Oh, we do have a question. Hold on.
Another question.
All right.
You get to hang out for a little bit longer.
I'm going for it here. Hold on one sec.
Hi, everybody. Justin from Racetrack. Casey, thanks for sharing your thoughts. Out of home, frankly, has always been one of our largest creative struggles as a brand. And it's the point where we're actually working on an out-of-home playbook right now, and how do we go to market with certain messages, designs, etc. Being a retail convenience concept, we have so many eyes in the field and all over the place, and we're constantly getting feedback from numerous different people. So from anywhere from the logo needs to be bigger, the messaging should be this size versus that, et cetera. How do you navigate feedback from various different people and really aligning on one cohesive look that's going to make everybody happy?
Testing. Like, I feel like there's ways to go about using multiple iterations of creative on the same, and then maybe running like a brand lift study afterwards. So if like maybe the logo is bigger and then the logo's smaller, or it's a different color, or it's a different dynamic ad that's on there, running multiple to get started helps, or going to one of our vendor partners and saying, can we start a week earlier and have some bonus so we can run this to see what it looks like. Using the partners. So, and then kind of arriving at that. Seeing it live is always better than just seeing it on a computer screen, emailing it back and forth to each other. So.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Casey, Cory, thank you very much.
Thank
Big
you.
round of applause. Casey Baker, everybody.
All right, thanks.
And